thought or question that may be beneficial to all of us if we got to hear and explore. Is there anyone who would like to do that? I'll take that as a no. Okay. So here's my thought on maybe what we could talk a little bit about. If you can just repeat this after me. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is the most powerful and effective form of meditation that we are able to practice. It's very simple hearing, meditating on and repeating these transcendental sounds, these what are understood and explained and taught in every single spiritual tradition in the world as being the holy names of the Supreme. So meditation, sometimes we think about it in connection with the mind, of course, because the mind is always bothering us. The mind doesn't have an off switch. There is no off switch on the mind. Has anyone noticed that? It's 24/7, the mind. And we experience really clearly that the mind can cause us a lot of trouble. It can get us into a lot of trouble. It can lead us down paths that are really dumb, but we follow them anyway. Has anyone ever done that? You ever followed anything in your mind that ended up being really dumb, but it sounded like a great idea at the time? I have many of those dead ends. I have much experience at it. So then, because of this reality, and of course the mind's default is to worry. That's the mind's default, is to worry and to freak out. That's where there's different sayings about making a mountain out of a molehill. My mind is driving me crazy, right? All these kind of sayings are there for a reason because that's what it's like. And the mind will always find something to worry about. It'll always find something in the past, some regret, one of these dumb things that we did, and then the mind will just grab hold of it and just chew on it for decades, actually, for us older dudes and dudettes. There's things, like right now I'm remembering something from when I was at primary school, and it actually, I feel embarrassed. 60 years later, there's this particular thing that comes to mind. This is the nature of the mind. And it kind of latches on to things, regrets and things that people have said and done, and it just harasses us. And then, of course, even when we, in the present, which is really all there is, it will worry about these things of the past. And, of course, it will worry about, circumstances we're in now, and it projects what's going to happen, particularly in things like relationships, right? Any of you have any relationships of any kind? No, we all do. And it'll just take you into this crazy world of scenarios. So because of, and then there's diseases we have of the body, cancer, this, that. And then, of course, it's more awareness now of mental disease also. It's becoming, fortunately, more of a thing we're aware of, And the health of our mind, mental mind, is such that it can be so bad that I will consider and then possibly commit suicide. All based on the mind, what's going on in the mind. Is that not true? I forget, I saw some statistic recently about the number of people under 25 who actually consider suicide. It was something like 1 in 10, something like that. I mean, that's a lot. If you kind of like crunch the numbers, and you think even in a small country like Australia, that's a hell of a lot of people. This is only under 25 who are like thinking, I want to kill myself. I want to end my existence. And unfortunately, not all of them go through with it, but there are enough people who do. And a very small percentage of them is due to some problem with the physical body. You know, like there's that, you know, what do they call it? End of life, something where people decide, you know, it's just they want to finish it now, you know, rather than go through some years of suffering. There's a very, very small amount of people, very small. But there's a lot of people who will actually take that step of committing suicide. So this is all to do with the mind. Is that understandable? This is all taking place in the mind. So people want to take to different, you know, some practice. Well, you know, some people take to, you know, who don't take to some meditation or prayer or some kind of spiritual practice, you know, they'll take up some other practice. I remember a good friend of ours, a spiritual mentor of ours, Hare Krishna. He would, you know, many years ago, I had the great fortune of meeting him in the 70s, and he helped me come to actually understand and practice meditation, to understand, you know, the real purpose in my life. And he used to tell this story about this example of people who are so bothered by the mind that they just want to stop the mind, right? So many people initially think meditation is to empty the mind, because all these thoughts in the mind, all these worries and regrets, they're in the mind. So let me get rid of the thoughts, try and empty the mind. You know, so, but of course that's impossible. You know, you notice doesn't work. So anyway, he tells this story about, this is back in the 70s, of course, about this guy who was just being so bothered by his mind that he just wanted to like get some relief from the harassment of the mind. So he meets this guy in K Road in Auckland. If no one's from Auckland, you won't know where I'm talking about, but if you do, you know what I'm talking about. And he says, look, man, I just need something to chill out. I just need something to help me, so I'm not being so, you know, just my life's getting me down. So he sells him a matchbox full of little green leaves, right? So he goes home and well, that's what it used to be in the old days, and I think is what it is now. I'm not completely sure. And, you know, that's what it used to be like. I've seen it in movies. I've never actually, you know, drawn back. Some of you will get that joke and some won't. So after a little bit, you're like going, this is, chill, right? Chilling now a little bit. Wow, this is good. So, you know, we do that for a while, but still the mind is so strong that it comes back to harass us again. So this guy goes back to K Road and he goes, look, that stuff was really good, but have you got anything stronger? So he gives him some hash, a bit of hash, which is, you know, and he kind of puts that in his pipe and smokes it. And of course that takes you on a little bit of a deeper experience, shall we say, in connection with the mind. Kind of distracts you a little bit more. You get a bit more oblivion from it. So that's good, but he's still going, man, still not doing what I want. So he goes back to his pusher friend and goes, look, have you got anything like more that'll just blow my mind? Or anything else that's going to help me? So he gives him some LSD. So of course acid is much, much more than smoking a little bit of, you know, pot. And so he goes on this whole trip and far out and stays there for a couple of days, and, you know, that seems to be doing the job. But of course what goes up must come down, and then we come back to all the stuff that's still worrying me in my mind. We may have been distracted for a little while. So again, he goes back to his friend in K Road, and he said, I just just give me something that's just gonna, I just can forget, So he introduced him to heroin. Now I've never taken heroin, so I'm not exactly sure, but I have friends who have, and apparently you just go into this, basically melt into oblivion, maybe even not aware of yourself and not aware of stuff, and while you're in that experience, all the troubles melt away. So heroin seems to be doing the job, but then of course again, you come out of it, you need more, and then you need more, and it's this endless cycle. So by this time, this guy's getting really, really upset. So he goes back to his friend again in K Road, says, I want something what's the strongest, heaviest thing you've got? And he says, so the guy says, I've got just what you're looking for. He said, this will really blow your mind. It's a Magnum 44. So it's just a little story about how much the mind can cause us so much disturbance that we actually want to end our existence, even though it is not possible to end our existence, because we are eternal and we do not die even when this body dies. Even if we shoot a Magnum 44, it still doesn't solve the problem because the mind is still there. So some meditation practices are a more subtle and better version of that. Things like certain breathing techniques have a certain effect on our body and on the mind, and different things that people may mindfulness, which is one of the things that we teach, because it's part of the yoga practice. It's very, very helpful. In that practice of mindfulness, the idea is we get to experience that we are not our mind, right? Every week, week in, week out, most weeks, we didn't do it tonight, but most weeks we take you through the silent witness meditation. So you begin to experience how you are not your mind, you are not your thoughts. It is actually possible to step back from your thoughts and not to be swept away by either the desires that may lead you down a certain path in life, or from the fears and the worries and the regrets and the concerns when you experience you are the silent witness who is observing them. In that way, you are not those thoughts, you are not those feelings, and those feelings will come and go. So this is one of the benefits of mindfulness. And of course, it begins the process of self-realization where you begin to understand, well, I'm different from my mind. I'm not my mind. Well, who am I then? I'm the silent witness observing the mind. And and you can also do mindfulness where you experience the sensations of the body. I am aware I am inhaling. I am aware I am exhaling. So again, you have this little stepping back from the sensations in the physical body. So then you begin to understand I am something different from my body. I'm something different from my mind. But this is not enough. Just to know that you are not your thoughts is not enough to give you shelter from them, because the mind is very powerful and very strong, and basically it is impossible to overcome by myself. It's just it draws me back in. Even against my intelligence, my mind will still harass me and cause me trouble. So I'm going through all of this to come back to how I started. And again, if you can repeat after me. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. These beautiful sounds, these beautiful holy names are the safe shelter from the storms of life. There is no difference between the holy name and the Supreme Soul. The Supreme Soul in our relationship with Krishna, or God, the Supreme Soul, is that place which is free from all worries, all fears, all regrets, all concerns about the past, worries about the future, what will happen to me, that transcendental sound not only brings peace to the mind, which it does, but actually it gives me the spiritual food, the spiritual nourishment, the spiritual love which I am ever yearning for. The process of meditation is described as being Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. This is the Sanskrit term and understanding. Shravanam means to hear. So every day we're hearing different sounds and ideas and vibrations. Shravanam, Kirtanam, the things that we hear, we also tend to talk about. So meditate. So this is automatic. It's taking place. I don't have to sit in full lotus posture or go to an ashram for this to be happening at every moment of our day. We're always hearing different sound vibrations throughout our whole day, our whole life. And what we hear, we tend to then speak about. And then Smaranam means to remember. So what we hear, what we say, Kirtanam means to chant, to say, to sing, or to repeat. Smaranam means basically meditation, what my mind rests on. So there's one word in there that I didn't say what it means. So Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam. Hearing about, singing or repeating, speaking about Vishnu, and then I'll remember the Supreme. Vishnu is the same, means Krishna, means God. It means the Supreme or pervading soul. So this is what Kirtan is. We hear the person who is chanting these beautiful names. This is meditation. We can engage in chatting, or we can be looking around the room and looking at people who come in. That's okay. But I just wanted to let you know that actually, if we actually place just a small amount of awareness on the person who's chanting, not just the melody, not just the music, but the mantra itself. We actually just rest and listen to the sound of the mantra they're chanting. And then Kirtanam, and then we sing. But we can sing with a little bit of feeling, a little bit of awareness, in a meditative consciousness or mood. And then automatically, because of the spiritual nature of the names of the Supreme, then all that is worrisome to the heart and the mind are not only pacified or temporarily distracted, they will be removed gradually and replaced with real, not artificial material positivity, but actual experience and realization of my real nature, my relationship with Krishna or God, the Supreme Soul, and that eternal spiritual love, eternal spiritual peace is actually the outcome of this meditation. The mind may still hassle us, which it will, but I have a deeper world, a deeper experience because of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam. So this is actually a very profound and very deep meditation experience that we're engaging in here. So I just thought I'd speak a little bit more about actually there is so much actually happening here. And however much we want to dive into that experience, we can. But let me also say, even if we're a space cadet and we're chatting and looking at our phone during the beautiful chanting, you're not taking full advantage of the opportunity, but the nature of the holy name and the nature of transcendental sound, even if I'm in the proximity of it, it is actually very, very beneficial to me. So either way is fine, but just to let you know, there is another experience that we can, have a little bit of influence on as we engage in kirtan. So let's do that. Thank you very, very much.